And 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creators Lounge podcast. Of course, I am your host, Ben Jaye. And this episode has been a while in the making. It's going to be really cool to sit down and talk with them, especially because this is the first time they've actually gotten to talk about their project together. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to come up today that has probably not been posted on the internet yet. And that makes this episode super exclusive. All right, guys, give us a quick introduction. Jesse, if you want to go first, like, what's your name, where are you from, and what do you do? And then Drake, you can go afterwards.
I'm Jesse. I'm the Jess part of Hay Jess from Melbourne, Australia. I sing and write, just dabbling creative stuff, mainly. I enjoy that, cool concepts and keeping it real. So that's me.
Love that. Drake, how about for yourself, man? Where are you from, what do you do, and what's your name? I said your name. We know already.
My name's Drake. I do all the producing and like music creation and stuff like that. I'm 19 from Melbourne, and yeah.
All right, fantastic. Now, actually, if I remember correctly, I actually met Drake through a mutual friend of ours, Inflake, and I'm actually rocking Inflake's merchandise today. So I'll give a quick promo for Inflake. But Inflake knew Drake, and then I met Drake because of that. And then because of Drake, I met Jesse. And so now here we are all together, the power of friendship and music. Always best to start with an origin story. Jesse, how did you first meet Drake?
I was genetically mutated in a lab, and Drake saved me. No.
Yes! This is the origin stories we need in the EDM scene.
Yeah. We're in the end game. No. I was friends with Drake's brother Tanner from media class, and we hung out a lot, me and Tanner, and one day he was like, "Can I bring my brother Drake along?" And I was like, "Sure." And we hit it off and realized we make music. We both make music, and we just dabbled in that. I think the first song we ever made was a very comedic, offensive kind of song.
Wait, what?
I thought it was My Puppy we made.
Are you serious? Song. I thought you said it was Hiding.
Hiding was like the first idea, but the first song we released was My Puppy.
Wow.
Which we eventually took down because we realized we wanted to actually have a career.
Oh gosh, I'm really curious about that song. I'm gonna ask for the recording. Yeah. Please do. So Drake, then Jesse already knew your older brother then before you even knew him. So like, whenever you like, what were your like? How did you think of Jesse then? Like before you met him and then after you met him, like what was that like for you? Because obviously you knew about him through your brother, but you hadn't actually like interacted with him, I'm assuming.
Well, I mean, I didn't really think much of it. I just thought he was cool.
Yeah.
Dude, pretty much. So, and then we have very similar senses of humor. So like, and we both think pretty similarly. So we kind of just click really well, which is good.
Got it.
Both loyal. It works pretty well.
If I could ask real quick, I'm curious, how long ago was it that you guys first met? Was that like 2, 3, 4 years ago?
He knows the exact date.
I know the exact date because
we went to go
see
yeah, it's crazy.
We went to go see a movie called Crawl, and it was the Friday after it came out. So I checked last night, July 12th, 2019.
Wow.
Was the night we properly met.
It's really romantic.
It's not like I just like...
like you get it tattooed on your wrist or something? July.
Yeah, July 19th. That's 12th. But yeah, I just it sounds that really I just have a good memory for movie release dates.
Oh, how interesting.
I remember meeting Drake the night we saw that movie. That's kind of funny. Now I know our date. It's our anniversary.
That's wild. That's wild. But that's a great tip though for like memorization is like having associations with something. So in that case, it's obviously a movie, but it could be another person you know or something, a memory. So you guys met back in 2019 then, and then how long was it before you actually started making music together? Was it like a few months, a year?
It was in August. Yeah, it was like 2 months.
It was late. It was towards the end of middle of the year.
Because I've been making music pretty consistently since like 2016.
Okay.
So
yeah, actually, because for you, Drake, you have like your own solo project called Kiss the Moon. So give us some backstory on Kiss the Moon as well. Like how long has that been going on for you, and talk about that project.
Yeah, well, I don't know exactly when I started the Kiss the Moon project, but it's basically just a name for my personal creative expression really, and experimentation and just development of production skills and whatnot. So yeah, I kind of just do whatever I want for it.
Nice.
So
And I guess
yeah.
you've been doing it for at least 5 years now, because 2016. So probably even more than that, then probably like 6 or 7 just being in the studio then, right?
Nah, it started out from, because I was super into electronic music back then, and I was like just fascinated by like, I was like, how do these guys make, like, what's coming out of these speakers? And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. So then I looked it up on YouTube, as we did, and then it started from there on the laptop. So that was back in 2016.
That's wild. That's super, super cool. How about for you, Jesse? Like, what was your kind of entrance to like music and EDM specifically?
Oh, EDM.
I don't even think you're really that.
I love listening to EDM.
Okay.
Makes me feel like I'm in like a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great. But I'm mainly like, I used to do stuff on guitar a lot back in, I still do it, but 2017, 2018 was mainly the time when I just write a bunch of songs on guitar. A couple of them I really kind of held on to. But most of them I was just kind of like, you sit with them for a while. Like when you record it, like now, when you have it there, you're listening to it, it becomes real. When, for me, back when I was just doing guitar stuff, it obviously wasn't recording because it was before I met Drake. So a few of them would just kind of fade into the background. So
yeah, no, I get what you
when
mean.
Hay Jess started, it was like, oh.
He really enjoyed like being able to see the ideas he had kind of come to life. So
definitely.
How interesting.
And
So
it's
then
still
Drake
like
for yourself, then you got like, you came more from an EDM kind of perspective, and then Jesse, obviously you came more with like guitar and like actual instruments
like
and everything.
Yeah.
like a crossover from different backgrounds.
Yeah,
which is
precisely.
cool.
That's super cool though, because obviously that's probably the ideal way for a duo to work, is that you can complement each other's like strengths and weaknesses. How would you guys kind of explain the sound you guys go for with the Hay Jess project? For anyone who's not listening, give us some context on like what kind of styles you guys try to achieve, what kind of music you put out. How would you describe it?
Well, I would say we're still trying to find something, like specific and distinct that we can, kind of stick to. So we're still kind of in that experimental kind of area. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think we had a little conversation how we want to make music for people who are just like sitting outside at night, smoking a cigarette, whether it be a banger or just a chill vibe kind of song.
So it can be, but you can like mosh to it and also chill to it if you want.
Yeah.
So we have our inspirations like Joji and Post Malone, but I also realized we make very good drunk music.
Yep.
Like maybe it's just because when I listen to it, I'm like, this is me. Oh my god! But I was listening to it like every time I, have alcohol in my system, which isn't much. But when I do, I always listen to our tracks, and I'm like, this is really good. So, for the ultimate experience for anyone listening,
Yep.
And listen to the tracks on.
Isn't that just any kind of music though? Or would that?
Yeah. No.
I don't know though, Drake, because like if you guys actually sat down and said like, let's make music about this scenario, and it sounds kind of like you achieved that ambition in some sense already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're
Yeah.
we just do what we feel like, I reckon. It's more, I said this to him, I said I think a lot of the familiarity or consistency can usually come from, the not specifically the style or the type, more the actual voice and also like the mastering.
Yeah, I think from a production, like exactly what he's saying, but from a production aspect, like, we, as producers, we don't realize how much bias we have as the people that we are. So my philosophy with it, like with producing, is I want to go for a vibe but I want to pull in random sounds, because in that moment, whatever's sounding good to me is gonna come across as a representation of myself.
How
That's
interesting.
kind of how I go about it. Yeah.
So just trying to be like really vulnerable whenever you're walking on the music side.
Yeah, I'm not thinking too much about it. I'm just doing, and like whatever's sounding good, I'm just going with and rolling with.
How intriguing. And then Jesse, I'm assuming you do a lot of the lyric writing. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about for yourself, like do you also have that same ambition of trying to be like vulnerable and open or authentic when you're writing? Or like, what does your writing process look like?
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
really good.
I range. Thanks, buddy. Sometimes, I just decide what I want to focus on, usually, whatever I'm feeling. So sometimes it'll be concepts, just cool little concepts, like with the tape recorder on the most recent projects, that it's just a cool little thing that I always kind of wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But also when there's stuff going on in my life that I feel like writing about, I'll write it, obviously. Sometimes I'll even I'll think of something and I'll write it down and I'll go, even though I'm not feeling this now, when I do feel it, yeah, I have felt in the past. And when I do feel it again, that's when I'll put it in a song. Because I do want what I put in the song at that moment to be what I'm feeling now. But also, sometimes it can be like, oh, this sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to hear this and they're going to go, what a badass.
Tell them about Drip.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the songs one of our songs is called Drip, and it's
on the Play Me EP.
Yeah, it's not about anything. It's fun. We make songs that are, we try to be vulnerable. We make songs where we're not trying to be anything. We just do what we feel, and it can be a bit jarring, even for us sometimes. But in the long term, it's a lot of fun.
A bit jarring. What do you mean?
Like, it's a lot. We have a lot of stuff, and we tend to. Sometimes we have so many ideas that when we actually step back and look at it, it can be a bit like, whoa.
Messy.
But it's usually like later in the production stage that we tend to
start cutting back.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes anyway.
Yeah.
You get out ideas, then you cut back later.
100%.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because I relate with that, Jesse. Like having so many ideas, and for me, like it all makes sense because it's all part of like in my headspace. Like it's all connected. I have all these ideas and imagination, and then obviously whenever you put it out, it can be kind of confusing to people. I remember like in my early days of being active on social media, even though I labeled myself as a musician and I would talk about music and show myself in the studio. As we all know, music producers put out like one song every 6 months, so like I would be calling myself a producer, but like I'd be posting podcasts, I'd be posting inspirational content, and if you're like, hey Ben, when's the new song? And I was like, yes, I'll get back to you on that.
It will happen.
I noticed like back in the days where I first met you, like, I never saw you really putting out much music, and I was like, when's this guy gonna put stuff out?
Exactly.
Yeah. Although I actually did take a look at the Ben Jaye discography last night.
Oh shit.
There are some dope titles there and stuff.
Thanks, dude. Yeah.
Living to Die in Tokyo.
Yes.
Sure.
Yep.
That's it. We should be interviewing you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the thing is that I've noticed anyway. I'm sure it's related. I have ADHD, so I'm sure it's related to that. Just like always having creativity, or wanting to do a million different things. But like, what I've noticed though is that if you don't give your energy to one specific project, you don't see as much growth in it, right? And so one of the things that's happened for me is that even though I started off with doing music, now I've branched out in other fields. And so whenever I go back to music, like my skill level's here because I've been like how do I explain that? Like I have so many different avenues of things I'm putting work into. Rather than seeing massive growth in one, I've seen just like incremental growth in each of them. Yeah, you know. And so the same way with music, whenever I go to like make new music, I'm like, I'm not quite happy with how this sounds. It's not quite exactly what I want to express. You know, it's not like the level I'm at anymore. So kind of the place I'm at with music right now is trying to recreate my sound or improve my skills a little bit more before I put out something. Just because like I'm not 100% satisfied with like what I am making. You know, it's fun for me to listen to or do as a hobby, but it's not exactly something I want to release and promote, you know, and share with other people at this stage.
I get that so much, man. That was me for years.
Talk about it, Drake. Yeah. Like, how did you walk through that? What was that process like for you?
Well, I mean, I just had like a vision of where I wanted to be with my sound. Like, just go on Spotify and listen to the quality and, you know, composition of other tracks and, you know, think like, where do you want your sound to be? And like, what are you aiming for? So I was wanting my stuff to be like top-notch quality to the point where I could express complicated emotions well and with good sonic quality, you know, with weight, depth, atmosphere, and all these things. And yeah, I just spent the time to progress myself into doing that, bettering it. It was just gradual.
Every single artist goes through that process of like self-acceptance, but then also like being able to be authentic with what they want to create. I'm always curious to hear people's development on it, like what it helps them, what it takes to make them break through, what it takes to make them reach that level. Like you're talking about, Drake, of like, you know, I'm satisfied with what I'm making. I love what I'm making. Do you feel like you're there at this point now, Drake, or is it something you're still working on?
Well, I mean, I think it'll always be something I'm working on, but I'm at a point now where I'm starting to be proud of what I'm making, like especially because of the feedback that I'm receiving from it as well. Like people are like, yo, you're doing good. And I'm like, damn, man, like it's really satisfying after having so many years of just, I would beat myself up a lot about like, you know, I'm not B and stuff. So yeah, I think it just takes a lot of thought, you know, about.
That's what I'm curious about, Drake. If you think it was mostly, it's got to be both sides of it. So maybe it's a percentage for you, though. How much of it was actual skill level based stuff of like learning how to do it, and how much of it was a mental process of like, I am good enough. This is what I like. I am doing what I want to do. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but how much was it like skill based, and how much was it mental based for you to get to that level?
Yeah, I think they both kind of go in hand in hand. Obviously, you've got to have the skills to do what you want to do, and that takes time. But I also struggled personally with the mental side of, you know, self-doubt, you know, like not really knowing if you're getting anywhere, you know, having writer's block. Yeah, hand in hand, 50-50 for me.
Very good.
I think it'll be different for people though.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I'm sure you've seen this happen as well. Like, I know some of the most crazy talented producers and individuals, artists, and like they're making stuff that's like insane level quality. And for them, though, it's all mental at this stage. It's like they know how to do this, how to do that, how to do sound design, you know, mixing and mastering at a professional level. But they have a lot of self-doubt of like, no one's gonna like it, or I'm still not good enough, or you know, whatever it may be. How about for yourself, Jesse? Like, what's been the struggles you faced emotionally or mentally as you've been working on the Hay Jess project?
So it's I think one of the main things is probably understanding what you're feeling a lot of the time. I think, you know, in order to be vulnerable in a song, you could make, you know, a song that doesn't mean anything really, like just random at any time, you know. But when you actually want to, you know, become vulnerable and dive deep into what you're feeling, you have to first recognize what you're feeling, understand what that is, and how to not just recognize it and understand it, but make it flow and make it rhyme. And that's probably the main thing. But I think if you try and force it, that's when it doesn't work. I think a lot of the times when I look back on some of the lyrics and, you know, parts of our songs that I'm most proud of, I don't really even remember where it came from. I'm just like, geez, I was just like, it's like just came out of me, you know. It's, when that doesn't happen and I'm kind of trying to force it, I'll be writing it and I'll just be like, you know, if someone else showed me this, I'd be like, that's really good, but it is good, but I want to feel it. So it's you know, I might save it for later, like I said, when I do, you know, when I think about it and go, that is, you know, that's something. But, you know, just establish how you're feeling. I think writing also is a lot, it helps a lot. Just writing like in a journal, like in a diary, just pen on the page, just write, and then you read through it and it helps you understand a bit better. It may not make it easier or anything, but it helps you kind of get a grasp on what your process is thought-wise and what your feelings-wise.
Definitely.
And then you can incorporate that into your music. And it does help a lot. So yeah.
That's super cool. I love that. Yeah, by the way, I love the thing you said a few minutes ago about the saving ideas, because I do that all the time. You know, I'll be teaching a class and I'm like, wait a minute, I want to do this later. So I'm like, sorry guys, I'm like, you know, write down an idea, you know, pull up later. I have like a bunch of like Google Doc files that have like, you know, at this point do this, or at some point do this, at some point do this, you know, and it's great to go back and find those and bring them back to life and everything. But even more importantly, I want to dig into that thing you said just now about recognizing how you feel, because I think that's super, super important. Obviously, a lot of us struggle with different challenges and everything, but especially in terms of like emotional intelligence, you know, recognizing how you feel and like why you feel that way, and then like handling it and dealing with it and everything. I think you might have kind of answered it already, but if you want to go a little bit deeper, that'd be cool. Or Jake, if you want to jump in. That process of like recognizing how you feel and why you feel that way, was it just you like looking back at past experiences? Was it you looking back at like journals you had written? Like, what was that process for you guys both of like recognizing how you feel? Like you said, Jesse, about, you know, the emotions you're feeling and recognizing those first of all. How did you build that awareness about your emotions?
I think the first step is actually recognizing that you're not recognizing what you're feeling.
Oh, boom!
That's like,
break it down.
Yeah, like we made a song that hasn't come out yet. Once, you know, we have a bunch of songs that haven't come out, but just a little thing. One of the lyrics is, you know, it's hard to write about the things I feel when I don't know what I'm feeling. And
oh my gosh,
you know, just writing about that.
Yes.
If you're feeling like you don't know what you're feeling, write about. I don't know what I'm feeling. And then maybe through that, you will realize what you're feeling. And then throughout, as the song goes on, you will come to understand. And by the time that song ends and that journey or the process ends, you'll be, it's a bit of a relief.
Yeah. Like for me personally, it's like about connecting with my inner voice or my higher self. And whether I use meditation or, you know, whatever it is to get there, and writing down, you know, what I'm feeling in the moment.
No, I love that, Jesse. Like mindfulness is so important. Just being mindful of like what's happening, even when you don't know what's happening, being mindful of that. Like it's such a powerful way to live, and to create as well, because that right there is authenticity. I'm feeling something. I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm going to express that. And that's real. Like, that's fucking real, you know? And I love that, you know? I think it's something. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Keeping it real.
Yep.
That's it. Sometimes when you're writing a song, you can either dive into your feelings, or you don't have to at all. You can do something else. You can write about something else, get your mind off what you're actually feeling, and write about that later. It's just total freedom. You know, that's the fun part about it. You know? Yeah, therapeutic part about it.
I think there's something to say about that as well, and like composition and production, because that is very similar as well if you want more authenticity in your production, because when you're making decisions when producing, you know, before when I was saying like talking about doing like random things, I guess more accurately would be to do whatever first comes to you. From that you can get some more authentic pieces of music composition that come from you. It's an odd thing, but Yeah.
I completely agree. I think that there's too much focus on like that crystallized, perfected kind of output that we see from like mainstream creators or just people in general. You know, we always focus so much on like the finished product that people put out that we don't even get to see like what actually went into it, the process that went into it. And so same as you guys are talking about right here, I found for me myself that the best way for me to create anything is to not be trying to achieve that crystallized image of perfection, but rather be putting out the rough and sometimes unpretty, quote unquote, sides of like life. You know, it's the same way like for my Instagram page, you know, people always see my videos and they're like, wow, you're so positive, you're so inspirational. And I'm like, yeah, that came from a really dark place of like self-hate, everything, you know?
We're literally having a conversation.
We were literally saying that last night because we had
yesterday.
a friend over who also watches your vids.
He loves your videos.
Yeah,
Nice.
definitely. Shout out to Jesse McPhee.
Jesse McPhee.
I gotta know their tag and everything. Tell me after the show. But yeah.
Yeah, he was just saying, he's so happy and stuff, and he was gonna say it as well, but I was just kind of like, in order to feel that, it's like, to have good days, you got to have bad days as well, and it's kind of like that, that's why when you, the bad times are actually good because they make you stronger. I think you're a perfect example of that.
Can't see white on white, but you can see white on black or
Awesome.
black on white.
Awesome. That's so cool. But no, it's exactly true, right? And so I love the fact that with social media and especially with like self-releases, self-promotion, we get to choose the route we want to take. We no longer have to go through a label that says, oh, this has to be changed, this has to be changed, this has to be changed. It's like, no, I want to put this out on SoundCloud today. I want to self-release this on Spotify today. We get to control that process of what we show, what we don't show, how we deliver it, how we communicate and everything. So it's a super empowering time. But also a super arresting time because you have to, check yourself and make sure that you're okay with being that authentic and being that open about everything.
I guess it depends what route you go, because you can still go that traditional route of going through a label. But I personally don't prefer that because they do tend to over-involve themselves a lot, I've found anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Interference. Label interference. There are a lot of labels out there that actually do give you that freedom in the world. That's what I hope we can find. A label who appreciates us for us.
Mm-hmm.
If not, I guess we'll just go down a fucking cave somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that's probably going to change eventually as well. Just my intuition. I'm not sure if it's going to be right or wrong, but just because the fact that the internet's made everything so individualized. And so we're no longer working with people in groups of people. We're working with individuals who share one common trait or individuals who share one common interest. Right. I think before people dealt a lot with marketing in terms of demographics of oh, you're this age, this race, this gender, you're going to like this kind of music. But I think nowadays with the internet, it's more of oh, you have this mental health issue, then you're going to like this kind of music. Oh, you're in this kind of subculture, you're going to like this kind of music. So I feel like labels, I feel like labels are going to have to change the way that they promote music and the way they treat artists because the internet allows us to be more individualized with our marketing, with our delivery of stuff. I'm not sure if that makes sense or not, but
no, it does. Pretty spot on, I think.
Yeah, movies, labels. The one thing they can't really interfere with is that connection with, fans and stuff. I think you always have to go through that kind of business angle door. You have to kind of unlock that first, and then that's when you get something really special, which is, the people who, look up to you or they're inspired by you. And those are the kind of people that I think we're doing this for, as well as just ourselves. To have that connection with people through music.
Exactly, Jesse. And that's what it all comes down to is all of this is going to people. So whether you're putting it to people yourself or going through another label that's putting it out to people for you. Like at the end, it's all going to people. And so it's just your choice of how you want to reach people. You know, if you want to do it the hard way, which is self-promotion, then, you know, you have interactions with people on a daily basis through social media, through live streams, through, you know, content output. Or you can go through a label who has more reach. But I don't know, at the end of the day, like you're always talking to people and connecting with people and sharing stuff with people. And that's been one of the cool things that I've got to experience on my journey of content creation is the human connection side of everything. Like you realize that everything is just people. Life is just made up of people doing people things.
Yeah. It's humans. We were all born, you know, the government, people, these people.
Yep.
I said it all the time, don't I, Trey? I don't know if he knows, like, listens to it. I always say he's, you know, whenever we're, you know, government officials, you know, all this, it's like we're all people.
Yep.
Some people can be corrupt or great, but there's always an underlying meaning because that's what humans have. There's always
exactly, Jesse. Take away the structure and the labels and everything, and it's just human beings doing human things, which is why authenticity works so well, is because as humans, we relate with other humans. You know, it's like, oh, I went that same thing. I experienced that same thing.
I've actually thought about this a ton, like, because I don't do well with like self-promotion, just like kind of the I wouldn't say traditional way of like self-promo, but you know, those people that are like, yo, I'm 16, you know, check out my music, this kind of stuff.
In the comment section of like memes, it's like like, check out my new track in my bio.
Hey, I'm a 16-year-old beat maker from Atlanta. Check out my page.
Instead, I like the idea of just meeting people and making a friendship with them, and if they want to check out your music, then they will. And just doing that a lot, and I find that works so much better because you build up, you know, a massive friendship group of people that potentially become your fans and, you know, enjoy your music, and it's organic. You're not asking too much of people before you've even become friends with them. Yeah, I've thought about that a lot.
Well, and the great thing about that is that it gives you a lot of self-esteem, because you're not doing it for recognition or praise or validation. You're doing it because you love it, and then secondly, you're meeting people who you really fuck with, and like, hey, this is worth it, you know.
Exactly.
I think the late DMX said he had a quote once. I saw it on Instagram. Where it's something it was something about him sweeping a floor at like a fast food restaurant. He goes, the day that you're too famous to think you can't sweep a floor, that's when you know you're fucked.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're going to be sweeping floors. I'm more than happy to, but I think that's like can also relate to much, you know, a lot of other things. You know, no matter how big you are, or, you know, some people let it get to them, and that's also a very human thing to do. But you know, I think you're still the same person you were 10 years ago, when before any of this started. It's going to change you in some ways, maybe in your eyes for the worst, but also the best. That's just how it is. No matter what you are, you're going to change and evolve and grow, and bad days will make up, you know, bad days, good days. It's all going to happen. We're all human, and that's life.
Yeah. By the way, rest in peace to DMX. That was a tragic loss. Definitely a hip-hop legend, no doubt. His music will live on for sure.
I didn't even realize he because I knew X Gonna Give It To You from the soundtrack a few years back.
I didn't know that was him.
But I also was shocked to find that he did, you know, Up in Here.
Up in Here. Oh yeah.
Mama. So I was shocked. Like, I was like, damn. And so rest in peace.
Absolutely, man. And that's one of the cool things about doing music and content creation is that, you know, your legacy lives on. and it seeps into the culture even when we don't know it was you. We find out later, or we don't know who's consuming your content.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the more we create and put it out there, like the more we're kind of leaving our legacy behind. Actually, before we started the recording, Drake and me were talking about, being public on social, being transparent about stuff, and like building confidence around that. I think that's been one thing that's helped me a lot, Drake, is kind of thinking about that, the fact that like I'm going to die someday, and that's cool with me, but there's going to be other people who are going to be a little bit, disappointed by that. And so I definitely want to leave behind something that might, help them remember me, or might be there for them even when I'm not, whether that's a brother or a sister or a parent or other family member, a friend, a student of mine, a collaborator. Like, it's so cool that we get to document our own lives and share it, and leave it behind for whoever's interested, after our eventual passing. So how much do you guys think about that in terms of like legacy and documentation?
I've definitely thought about that. Like that is the goal for me personally.
Yeah, I think we also tend to forget how young we are as well. Life could end at any time. It's, you think you're untouchable and next minute you're not. But, factually, we are young, and we do have all the time in the world in some aspects where, we are going to go and change. And it's almost like leaving behind a letter, and it's one day we'll make our last song and all that kind of stuff, but it's really depressing, but at the same time, it's how it is. But you can never take down, the songs
unless you're on DistroKid.
Unless you're on DistroKid.
And you don't play the
DistroKid takes away your legacy.
Oh gosh.
I hate that.
Some society, yeah. It's dissing DistroKid on the Creators Lounge.
Listen, DistroKid is great if you use it forever and you get someone to keep paying it after you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's a good point, Jesse. It's a balance there, right? Because it's a balance between like accepting that you're going to die and therefore you need to do everything you can that you want to do today, but then also recognizing that, you're not dead right now. So you've got time, and like kind of pacing yourself in that sense as well, walking the line between the awareness of both ends of the spectrum.
Fulfilling your space.
If you live your whole life in the past, you're never going to have a present or a future, It's
me.
Yeah.
Me.
That's just the fact that Drake is.
We're getting there. We're
getting there. We're getting closer to our deaths every minute.
So I was like, one day closer. For better or for worse. Yeah, absolutely. For you guys, obviously you're both working in a duo right now. I'm curious about that. I want to know for you guys, what does it take to make a musical group work? Is there anything that you guys have like learned that helps you guys work together better? Is there any like certain protocols you follow, rules that you have? Like, what kind of insights have you learned from working together on a music?
Oh man,
there's a lot.
I think songwriting is you can compare it to just like a friendship or a relationship overall. Like, just like in our friendship, but also definitely in our songwriting, we gotta be honest with each other. Don't worry about hurting the other person's feelings if they don't. We're professional. Be professional. It's not personal. You just gotta open up to each other. And it might be hard, depending on who you are, which is fine, and you can always work on that. But it's very important that you both know where each other are coming from. You can take different things away from the song, but the feeling's mutual, and that what's going on. You both have a solid vision, or you're working on a solid vision. Because it's not like you make your first song and then bang, lay the groundwork for a whole unique style and vision, but it's the whole process. It's all a process. And,
right.
I think we're fortunate. Like, we just happen to connect well enough to the point where if we ever do have any like strife or anything like that, we can work through it pretty easily. give each other time to express ourselves to the point where we can usually work something out, even if we're going through some hardships or whatever.
It's just crazy how much like my perspective of music overall has changed since before we started this. It's absolutely insane.
Both of
Like,
us.
yeah, I'll still have moments where, we had this happen last night where Drake will play an idea on, and we said this before, like the one thing that we both kind of bring to it is I tend to kind of establish the end game. Like I have a very I have a not definitive, I'm obviously flexible, not like this is what we're gonna do. It's like, I know what we're doing, I kind of put the carrot in the distance and I'm like, this is where we need to get to. And then Drake kind of like draws the map and it's like how are we gonna get there with production and all that.
Yeah, he's very ambitious with his ideas, but they're not so ambitious that you can't get there. Like they're doable. So
How
then
intriguing.
with my experience, I just get us there.
Yeah.
But like the other day, he was making a beat, and like the production of it wasn't obviously great, but like the idea was good enough so that I could go in and fix it all up, and then it was like slapping. And I was like,
100%.
damn.
You just gotta have faith. I think, both of us, we struggle with it, but we also excel at it. Where it's just, things might not sound great at first. Sometimes Drake will be making something and the sample, I'll be like, and then Drake, and I'll be like, Jesus Christ, that is absolute fire.
Patience and faith in each other.
100%. And also that's just how it goes with friendship overall, with everything, not just songwriting. It's, friendship, and, you need honesty, patience, faith. It's all, because like we said, we're human, we're individuals at the end of the day.
It also sounds like a lot of trust and communication as well, though, trusting that you guys both have the same, goals in mind.
Yeah.
You can, respect each other.
That's definitely something we've had to work on, like communication. Like me personally, just with my background, I struggled a lot with communicating what I want. So nowadays, I think it's getting better.
Oh yeah.
What's helped you, Drake? Has there been anything like practical you've done that's helped you with communication? Because I know it's something that at times I struggle with, and a lot of people struggle with, especially whenever you're a solo producer, right? Like I'm a solo content creator, and so I spend a lot of time by myself getting to curate my own ideas and craft it my own way. And anytime I do it with someone else, it's always that kind of wall of like, oh, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're kind of messing with this, It's a thing you got to walk through. So like, what's helped you, Drake?
Definitely, I would say authenticity. So if you're able to analyze the thoughts and ideas that are coming into your head, you're going to be more likely to willfully communicate those because you're aware of them. You're aware that in order for you to create things with other people, you need to be able to communicate. Then it's just about giving yourself patience to find the right words and then actually pushing to say what you want to say.
That's awesome. I love that because that's something I preach a lot, like on social, is that, you have to do the inside work first of all, and then it can be shown to the world, because after you know who you are and how you feel, then you can learn the process of communicating and delivering to other people. If you're trying to deliver, kind of throw back to what we said at the beginning of the episode, if you don't know how you feel and you're trying to communicate that to someone, it might not come across as well as if you can first of all recognize that you either don't know what you're feeling or you actually do know what you're feeling, but you don't want to admit it. You got to have that self-reflection to begin with. Jesse, I want to talk about the planning real quick, because I think that's really interesting that you always like to kind of have certain goals or ambitions and stuff in mind for yourself. Has that always been a part of the picture for you? Is it something that happened because of the Hay Jess project? Kind of like, how has that been shaped in your life about having goals and ambitions to work towards?
I think Hay Jess definitely helped me understand that that's what I like. That's why I think I struggled a lot with my older stuff, with just kind of alternative guitar, because it wasn't an official project. It was just, I'm a very kind of like, what's the end game kind of guy.
You're a dreamer.
I didn't really have that. Yeah, I didn't really have that ambition. So I kind of struggled between, and obviously, like, it's not, Drake also sets end goals, and something we both help each other do both.
We just specialize in different things.
Definitely. But I just, as time's gone on, it's just, I think just me and Drake talk, after we make a song in the kitchen or whatever, we always just talk about what we made and where we're at with, life, really.
Yeah.
And those conversations, I think, have helped me kind of recognize that, what we both kind of bring to the table a lot.
And we're both happy to have the hard conversations too. Because if you're not willing to have hard conversations, like there's going to be conversations that you don't want to have. So
Yeah. Well, what's really cool is you guys have each other that you can do this with, because like I said, if you're the kind of person who's only a dreamer, you got to find a way to get that structure. And if you're someone who only has structure but not sure where it's leading to, you've got to learn how to dream, and be more open-minded. And so it's a process that people have to go through individually, but it's cool that you guys can kind of help each other learn in that way while also working on a project together as well with output and everything.
Yeah, I think one thing I said was, I kind of realized this, I think we both kind of ground each other a lot. We both tend to have certain dreams, and that's great, but sometimes we do need a bit of a wake up or kick back to reality and actually, find ways to get towards that. And I think that's really the good part about having two people, is that, both of you can kind of ground each other. We lift each other up when it's necessary, and then we have to be, sometimes we're brutally honest, and that's how it is.
Yeah. That's how it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Just as down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to have conversations and communicate and work on that, and just ground each other to the best way I can say.
It's really cool, and I love the dynamic that you guys have, but I'm really interested about how it plays into the creative output you guys do. So the reason we started the episode was because we wanted to talk about the Play Me EP, which you guys just dropped recently. So, let's talk about the Play Me EP. What ignited the creation of this EP? Where did the beginning ideas and concepts come about for this one?
When did we originally
I think it was like right after our
Anarchy?
first album, Anarchy, came out. We kind of had that, I don't know.
I think it was your idea.
Yeah, I don't know where it really came from. I just have a lot of fun with those concepts, just, making it more of an experience.
There's his
in the music.
end goal kind of.
End game.
Ambition coming out.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, and I think we had that idea in the backseat, we're going to use it.
And then we started making the tracks, and then we were like, hey, idea for this. And so then I got these like tape sounds, and then made all of the tracks, blend together, mixed them, made them as cohesive as possible, so it could be this just kind of smooth experience.
That's awesome.
Obviously, it's not perfect, but that's what we were going for.
I think when we were making it, we were just calling it the Choke EP, because the first song on the album's called Choke, and we're just calling it that, just as a working title kind of thing. We had no real, visual kind of, we wanted to get your theme.
Mm-hmm.
There was no real kind of
vision.
Yeah, for the specific project, something that made it, stand out or kind of separate it from the other projects, which is kind of what we're making at the time. And I was just like, Drake, pause the song. What if this isn't Choke EP? What if this is
I remember that.
And he's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And then bang, we had something that kind of made it stand out, and it worked. At first I was like, is it gonna, kind of fit the vibe? And I think it did in the end. I think when I'm listening to it, when I first listened to it the whole way through, it just went by like that, because it just, the pace of it felt more like an experience for me than
kept you
engaged.
And I think that's an important thing to talk about as well, is being able to roll with ideas that come up, like with each other as well. Like if Jesse has an idea and it doesn't really click with me at first, try it out and see what happens. Roll with it for a bit. If it doesn't get anywhere, be like, all right, step back a bit.
Right.
Yeah, and if it's something that you really do want, like, sometimes, I might have an idea or vice versa, and then we put it in it at first, it doesn't really work completely. But then, if I have an idea that doesn't work completely, and Drake can kind of incorporate his kind of, take on it,
Mm-hmm.
I get the best of both worlds, and it's a great kind of mix of the two styles of what we're into. And that's really how we make all our tracks. We kind of have bounce ideas around, and we kind of mix it all together into this smooth like blend of inspiration.
Yeah. But yeah, with the EP, a lot of what went into it was a lot of it was very experimental. Like we were just experimenting with different sounds and different lyrical ideas, different things we wanted to express.
That's what I'm curious about it specifically though, because like the album has there's some super cool songs, but also like the names of them all: Choke, New God, Ritalin. Like I'm really interested about like, you know, what was like those songs. Yeah, Jesse, you probably had the one, you probably would want to answer this one, but like, you know, like those songs, like what do they mean to you? What are the inspiration for them? Is there some kind of story you're trying to convey with all of them all together? Or is it just like one-off individual stories? Like what was your kind of thought process behind all of that?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a kind of one-off thing. I think a lot of the story comes from, not story, but a concept. It's more of a conceptual kind of thing. I think, you know, with Drip, it was, when we made Drip, it wasn't actually meant to, I think we just made it because we were bored and we were like, let's go. And we made we weren't bored, but we were like, let's make a track, whatever. I think we made it like, this is how it kind of sparked, actually. What happened was we were hanging out at New Year and we were kind of talking about resolutions. I was like, bro, 2021, I'm going to stop giving any fucks. I'm done.
Yeah.
But just making whatever. And I think Drip, we made the first. The first time we made this video since then. And that was like the pure, just like, just write whatever worked, whatever rhymed. Sounds catchy, like, you know, feeling my body, you're feeling my drip. That was just like that was the final line of the verse. And then Drake kind of chopped it up and made it the entire chorus, and we, you know, have the pitch shift, and, you know, it was just a lot of fun to make. And then, you know, it was just something we just made with no real goal, or it was just like, let's just
do something.
We made it and we're like, this is sick.
Yeah.
You know, this should be an EP, and we did it.
How much time do we have left?
I mean, as much time as you guys want. Like, we can record it. There's no time limit on it. So, unless you guys have someone else to rush to, like, I'm good. We can keep the conversation going. I'm kind of interested about your creative, like, approaches to stuff in general. This is just my observation, so tell me if I'm wrong. Drake, it kind of feels like you approach stuff in a very musical sense, thinking in terms of like music and sound. Jesse, I'm kind of getting the vibe from you, man, that you kind of approach stuff more in a visual aspect. You mentioned movies before we started recording. You mentioned like, you know, keep throwing back to like in-game, you know, and different kind of like some film kind of stuff, and also like the audio cassette thing as well. Would you agree with that, Jesse? Do you think in terms of like visuals and things of that nature?
Yeah. I'm very inspired by like cinema and stuff. I didn't want
to like limit you. Like, dude, talk about it, man. Like, let us see into your mind.
I very much like with movies and music, my two rocks really in life, and my mom.
Of course.
Yeah, shout out.
Dude, she literally holds Hay Jess together for some time.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dear mama.
Much
Tupac vibes, dear mama.
It's just, you know, with movies and music, I just love the idea of having an experience more than, it's more than just music. It's a world. It's more of a movement.
All of the dimension.
That's what social media is great for. Like, when we release stuff, like, I did a thing where I archived all of the posts that were not album covers. So when you go on the account, you can just see a bunch of covers there. It's just like how much we've kind of evolved. For now, it's just like plainly based. So it has like the track list, the black and white photos, and the cover, and the emoji, the tape recorder emoji, like that kind of stuff that I just have a lot of fun dabbling in. I think a lot of it did come from cinema, from movies.
Yeah, definitely.
And I incorporate that into the actual music, and that's what makes it so fun.
Definitely. Yeah. He enjoys making or coming up with like film ideas as well in his own time, like scripts, you know, just ideas for anything that is an experience, not just music, you know.
Yes.
Whatever it is, he gets the experience, the story, the concept, which is awesome because I'm not as much like that, unfortunately. I wish I was, but
For every Jess, you need a Drake. That's how it is. I think, I tend to have a lot of ideas and a lot of things I want to incorporate, and Drake's really great. This is why I really, couldn't ask for a better bandmate. Is because, it's like that he cares and he appreciates, and we both take each other's ideas, and we're able to just communicate, a lot of the time, honesty, and just, give credit where credit is due, and then also be like, I don't think this is going to work, and kind of alter that and make it fit. And I think that's, like I said, it's why it's great having two people.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, Jesse, like it's true, like the visual aspect, we're able to do so much with social media, and we've been given so many tools to create visuals on social media, right? Like I think platforms like TikTok have given a lot of creators a lot of options, Instagram Reels, there's obviously, if you want to do the editing on your computer, there's YouTube. There's just so many tools available for creators to be expressing themselves, and especially with the rise in NFTs now, like NFTs is going to change the game in that aspect as well. Do you feel like you've been able to utilize the visual aspects of social media, or is it something you're still working on, Jesse?
I don't know. I don't see. I just see it more as, I just kind of focus on what I think suits. It's less of kind of like, let's see how far we can go.
I think we're getting there with that. Like, definitely down the track, we'll invest more into that.
Yeah, but it's also like what suits. So like, does this specific project or whatever we're kind of promoting, require us to kind of go as far as we can with just what can we do? What can, or is this more of a chill?
How big is it?
How much is this? It just depends on the project, I think. And it's less about, topping, kind of climbing up and getting more ambitious and more, big, and more just, kind of pieces of a puzzle, just making it all kind of fit.
Pacing yourself, taking it, as you're comfortable with it and figuring it out.
Yeah, and just figuring out what you want to do, writing it down, all that kind of stuff. That's the real growth. It's not about how big you can make it. It's about how much you're able to understand it and really have a specific vision for what you want, whether it be visual or audio. That's what's important.
Oh, and yeah, I love that, because it's a healthy mindset to have. It's a little bit challenging, I think, for a lot of us, and myself specifically, because I'm similar with you, Jesse, in terms of being a dreamer and having all sorts of, ideas and everything. But, being a, one man performer, having limited time, it's always like, I want to do this. Fuck, I don't have enough time. Okay, I'll come back to you later. And like, you gotta create on this platform, and all this kind of stuff. And even though you want to, you don't necessarily have the time to do it or the ability to do it yet. And you've really got to pace yourself. It's more of like, I want to do this. I can't focus on it right now. I'm going to put it in the back burner. Let's stay focused on this. Let's work on this, and kind of pace yourself out. It's not always easy. But in that same vein of like taking it slowly and, growing as you go, so to speak, do you guys feel like your music or your project is underappreciated at all?
By adults sometimes, yeah. I think a lot of them do appreciate it. I think, we have friends who do. I think, we're very appreciative of them. And obviously we're appreciative of everyone who wants to listen and, give feedback, whether it be constructive or just, well done, and whatever it may be. Sometimes it requires some explaining. I'm all for taking things for interpretation, but I think with people, when my dad listens to Drip, it's a bit I don't think he really understands it, and it's kind of like, I appreciate your opinion, but at least be aware that this isn't really your style, like,
yeah.
We do make music for everyone, but a lot of the stuff we just want to, I like to think that when people don't really like obviously people are not going to like it because it's not their style, but I want people, I would like people to be, more aware of, like, it's not bad. It's just, it's not what I'm into. And kind of be more vocal about that. And, I'm all set on that, but it's just, I like to think when people say like, it's not like the first, we sent our first album to a label and,
Don't bring this up.
I'm not gonna name.
You're just butthurt.
I'm not butthurt. No, I'm not butthurt. they said, like, it's really good to some of the beautiful moments, but it's very jarring. It's like the jumping in
Looking back, I agree.
Look, I actually, at the time, I was like, oh, yeah, that's fair enough. But now I actually love that. I love that we jumped around. I love the fact that we're able to jar people.
And they might have loved it, but it might not have been the product they
could promote.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they weren't, I've always been afraid of just, being boring. Doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So whether people don't like it or they do like it, as long as, I'm completely happy, whatever their opinion is. But I'm, whenever people say whether they don't like it or do like it, that it's just a lot to take in. I'm like, that's what we're going for.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep.
We want it to be, larger than life.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yes. Dude, it's so hard, but absolutely. Like, that's the whole thing is, whenever even once you get to that level of like, you're fully authentic, you're who you are, your energy levels, your expression and everything, and you accept yourself, you're being who you are, and then other people are like, oh yeah, okay, they kind of like distance themselves. They're like, that I'm not about that. And it's kind of like, fuck. It's like, I'm being real, I'm being authentic, and like I still don't, people still can't understand me, Like, it's definitely an experience that we have in life. You've got to have a lot of self-esteem. You've got to be patient. You've got to have a few good people around you who you actually care about, the 2, 3, 4 people around you. Not care so much about the judgment, which is not always easy, for sure. You guys have been like super vocal about mental health on social media. We've talked a lot about it actually already here today as well. I'm curious if you guys want to share some like really practical things that have helped you, or maybe some big insights you've pulled away from your mental health journey. We've already talked a little about mental health. You could probably spend hours talking about it, but if you guys want to give like maybe a quick summary of maybe something that really important that you've learned recently, or maybe a practice that's been really beneficial for you. Drake, you want to go first on this one? Is there anything you'd like to say on the topic of mental health specifically that we haven't brought up yet?
Yeah, I would just say, like, if it is something that you're struggling, really try to understand that the way you see things isn't necessarily how things are. Really try and understand that you are not your thought, you are an awareness that perceives your thoughts. That's something that I
been a game changer for you. Yeah,
and so things like meditation help me to ground myself and step back and clear my mind up so that I can see what I'm thinking and be like, all right, that's not me, that's my brain, and my brain is a tool that I use.
Yeah,
I am not my brain though.
It's powerful, man. It's deep. It might not make sense to everyone, but it's true. Like, the brain can be your best friend or your biggest enemy, depending on, how you live with it, how you experience it. Jesse, how about for yourself, dude?
It's just crazy how much, thinking about it now, how much this whole project with Hay Jess and Drake has helped me realize a lot of things. Like, I didn't even want to know where I'd be. It's like, Jess, are you curious? No, don't tell me.
No, I don't want to know.
But
I can imagine.
But I think it's very important that focus on what you love and what makes you feel happy and safe, whether it be people or music or whatever makes you, your passion, and build your own home in a sense. Figure out, what makes you the happiest and put yourself around that. Try and distinguish, okay, is this what's right for me or just what's there? And I'm still trying to figure that myself, am I surrounding myself with things that, okay, it's just there, that are subconsciously affecting me in a negative way, or is this what's right for me? And a lot of things that I am able to distinguish that. That's why I put myself around that. And that's why, I love making music and for Hay Jess and stuff, because not only do I, it's what's right for me deep down. There'll be bad moments and stuff, but that's just, long term, not only am I able to feel like that, I'm able to express it with music.
Yeah.
And it gives you clarity too, I think.
Exactly. And I think that's why when people say, like, you'll be fine, or whatever. That's totally, they're being nice and all that. But I think it's good to embrace the fact that no, this person's feeling really shit right now, and yeah, we'll get better, sure. But that doesn't take away the pain of what this person's feeling.
Right.
I'm miraculously better.
It's real.
I miraculously feel better because I know that I'm going to be okay. It's not like that. It's it can be. Obviously, everyone's different, but sometimes it's not. And I think it's really important that we embrace whatever we're feeling. It's turn to I think videos like yours. It helps you. It might not make it easier or make it better, but it helps you understand. And that's try and understand. It motivates you to try and understand what you are feeling.
Yeah.
And even though it doesn't make it easier, understanding is much, much better than just being confused and lost as to why you're feeling like shit.
Can I say as well? Yeah, basically with me for the past 5 or 6 years, I've really struggled because my parents separated in 2016. So ever since then, I've just been through the grinder, it's felt like, for me emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing that got me on a good path was realizing that I need help. Like, being like, yo, I'm struggling. That's a fact. Whether that's a therapist, whether I've got to get better influences, stop, watching shitty TV, whatever it is, I need help. So that's...
And don't let anyone, if anyone watching this, don't let anyone tell you what you're feeling for you as well. You know you better than anyone else. No one knows you like you do. And you may feel like you don't know yourself sometimes, but deep down, you're your own person. You've always got yourself, no matter what. Sometimes, you can just look in the mirror and be like, I'm a person and I have me, always. And, it sounds a bit cliche, but it's true. There's a reason why people always say it. And don't let anyone,
sayings are sayings for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Surround yourself with people who, like I said, ground you, but also, just make you feel nice because you know that what's happening is real. There's full transparency, and you should never let anyone tell you what you need. And obviously advice is obviously the thing, but make sure that you're an individual and not then don't let anyone else use you. Use yourself. You should be the own meaning of you. You should be the meaning of your life. Really, and that's just how it is for me.
So proud of you, Jesse.
I'm so proud of you.
So proud of you.
So proud.
No, it's getting deep, but it's all fucking real as well. I don't know, figuring yourself out is such a process and it takes so much time, like you guys said already, there's moments. Yeah, it's so worth it. It's definitely worth it because to you guys' point previously, sometimes your brain becomes your worst enemy, in terms of self-hate and self-depreciation, self-doubt. And you're going to have to separate yourself from that to recognize that, no, I am a human being. I'm alive. I'm important. Just because I'm a human being, I'm alive. And so I'm important. And then also, you also have to build, to your point, Jesse, like, people who you can like communicate with and be open with, for advice and everything. And it's hard to build trust with people whenever you don't even trust yourself. So it's always that careful balance between like, how much are you lying to yourself, and then how much can you trust another person to give you guidance? And it's really, really, really complicated to figure that out. Whenever you have all that self-doubt and then you don't trust other people and you feel like totally fucking hopeless and like, where do I go? But, props to you, Drake, because, being at a place similar to that and recognizing that you needed help. Drake, if I could ask though real quick, like what was if it's okay for me, I can skip if you want to, what was the point that made you realize, oh shit, like I need help? Was there like a certain moment in time or what was that like for you?
Well, I got to a point where I was noticing that people around me were treating me differently than before. It seemed like it looked like people were hiding things from me, but I don't think they were. I think they just saw that I was in a lot of pain.
And we're trying to protect you, I guess, or shield you.
You don't have to approach it, really.
Yeah, well, they might not know which they might have been pretty intimidated. So I noticed that. And obviously, when you become aware of things that are happening around, it raises a lot of questions. So then those questions that I was asking myself kept going. And I asked myself so many questions on a day-to-day basis. And those questions are how I improve my awareness of what's going on. And so I asked myself the question, am I right? I didn't just give up on the question. I didn't get an answer. I kept to that until I found that wasn't really that.
Yeah,
it's cool though, because I love that the questioning mind is so key to creating a new world. Whenever you just accept things as they are, you stay inside of the same universe. And so for some people that's okay, but like if you're looking for a better life or like a new reality, you've got to question, because maybe what you know to be true is actually not true, and maybe what you like right now is not what you could like as much as you could like something else. You have to keep questioning, and that pushes to new levels of awareness.
So passionate about that, like venturing out into like the unknown, the things that you don't know is how you progress. If you stick to what you know, cool, some things might work for you, but understand that you're going to have faults. So
absolutely. And it goes for it goes for everything. Like I mean, in terms of like personal growth, in terms of artistic growth, in terms of professional achievements, like the more you're unafraid to ask questions and break routines and discover new truths, the more fulfillment we can find, the more happiness we can find as well.
Interesting with that as well. Like I think producing really helped that kind of mindset, because when you're producing, you get into that habit of questioning, is this working, is this not working? So you get very analytical. That really carried over into my personal life as well, which is really cool.
I think one thing also people need to remember is like I think it's kind of interweaving what I said before, like with the grounding each other, but also not letting anyone tell you what you feel. Is that all these people, it's like love yourself no matter what. And that's great. If you
I love that advice. It's like thanks. I'm trying.
Started loving myself.
Man, that's perfect advice.
But if you do love yourself, I think whatever anyone's feeling. Thank you. Coming in with the lights.
Nice save.
But I think whatever you're feeling is normal, like whatever it is, whether you hate yourself or because even if you hate life, that's just fine, because there's always an opportunity to make a change.
And it's true. Like if it's true, it's true. You can't like.
And I think even if you don't love yourself, I think as long as you respect yourself, you're able to stand up for yourself, and you're able to take that stand when it's needed. I think that's what's really important, because that is and figuring out who you are, and then that's when you take steps forward after that. And that's what I try to remember.
No, I love it, Jesse. I completely agree with that. I think that we get so much pressure and stress from trying to be someone who we're not. And not to say that the situation you're in right now is the best situation, but you are in this situation. And so if you want to get out of it, you have to first recognize that you're here to take the steps and find the best strategy. So instead of judging yourself for being like, man, I hate the world. I hate that I hate the world. I hate the world. Yeah. Now what can I do about it?
Yeah, it's just counterproductive. It's just, there's always opportunity to make a change, and it's scary. It is scary. I'm still working on myself. I'm not like, when I say this, I'm not over here on the other side where I'm like, I've done all these things. No, personally, I'm scared of doing that. I'm afraid of not landing on my feet, but it's inevitable,
Yeah, it's a practice.
Thinking back into the bottom is that there's only one other way to go, and that's up.
Yep.
And eventually, sometimes you'll feel unmotivated to do that, which is perfectly
Again,
fine.
like you said, perfectly natural. Yep.
Yeah.
But every mountain is by one step at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got him, Drake. Nicely done.
Next up on Creators Lounge, we have
Exactly. No, but like I love it. Like, and I'm always trying to like bring people awareness back to that. I'll give a quick little anecdote. I was in class the other day, and one of my students told me, they're like, my mom said I'm a negative person, and I was like, are you okay with that? And they're like, yes. I was like, okay, cool, good. Then you're okay. Like, you know, if you're okay, then there's no problem. You know, like there's so much judgment that gets thrown on us because we're a certain way, you know, whether it's our ADHD or our depression or our negative nature or positive nature, you know, it's good and bad things, positive and negative, you know, there's so much judgment around like who people are, and it's hard for people to accept them as they are without thinking you should be this or you need to be this. But I think that, like you said, Jesse, like building that self-acceptance of like, this is who I am, this is where I am right now, you know, but, you know, obviously I want to achieve this at a later point. I've got to start from right now. And then obviously, like Drake said, the mountains one step at a time to get to the fucking summit.
Exactly.
So.
It's just insane how sometimes also like, you know, one specific person in your life can become like this massive cloud over your brain, you know, like they just... That's kind of what Ritallin's about, actually, this song we have, you know, like, you're Ritalin, you know, build me up and break me down again, you know, like, every man for himself, and you're living off adrenaline. It's kind of just like, you know, Ritalin's a medication, obviously.
Right.
So, but, you know, this person is more than just a person, you know, that's how, you know, and that can be good or bad for your mental state, however you want to look at it. But yeah, it's just insane how, you know, whether you like a person, you know, have a crush, or, you know, they're a family member, or it's just crazy how just like one individual can just become this massive thing.
Like your hope.
Yeah, that's kind of what a lot of what I write about is about. You know, this album, you know, with, like I said, Ritalin and stuff,
personal experiences and everything.
Yeah. And then we have just lyrics like, you know, gave her a molly, turned a Mormon to a porn star.
Oh gosh, I love this. That was his lyric. Yeah, I can see that, Drake. I can see. Don't worry, your reaction gave it away.
Very Kanye inspired. I think that was one of the inspirations for that song.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, I was a Mormon up until I was 17.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How interesting. Okay.
Mormons and porn stars are great.
Watching that,
But whoever you are, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's who you are. Yeah, precisely. My gosh, guys, this has been so cool to hear all this introspection and the retrospection as well, like looking back and contrasting with where you are right now. Kind of moving to the end of the episode, I would like to ask, like, for you guys individually, what's on your mind for what's next? Is there anything you're thinking about that you want to do later this year? If you guys want to answer individually, and then maybe even for like the Hay Jess project as well. Who wants to go first?
Oh, yeah, I'll go. So, we don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah.
Keep it cryptic. That's totally fine.
Cryptic?
Sure.
We're working on a little some. It's very, very early stages.
We're so excited though.
We started, it was right after Anarchy came out, and then the virus happened, and you know, we came in and out of lockdown. It just kind of shattered all motivation a bit.
We weren't really able to work together.
Yeah, and it was on and off. It wasn't like a consistent, like, okay, we're going to lockdown for this amount of time. We just go on and off. So when we actually came back on and came back to work, it was like, okay, when's it going to happen next? You know, like we're just kind of waiting. But now it's looking like, you know, it's looking a bit better. You know, when the sun's starting to shine again, and I'm
so excited.
And we're working on a bit of a concept. I think it'll be our first kind of album.
Mm-hmm.
You know, more than just 12 songs. You know, 14 will be a solid bit.
Let's go!
Man, look, it's not. I wouldn't say it's anytime soon, but like we're not playing no games with this one.
Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
I think, you know, we were talking about it because it will be a concept album.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're kind of creating a world.
Uh-oh. Jesse, did you sign the non-disclosure agreement already, the NDA? Because you can't say anything. Drake will press charges.
I know what it feels like to be like, you know, in these like Avengers movies, you know, how they can't say anything.
Can't say anything, exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, why is it so hard? It is.
Why not? It is what it is. Be impulsive, just say it, you know, let the world know.
it's got to be an experience. We don't want to inhibit
Yeah.
on the.
Very
It's going to
good.
be.
Very
I'll just
good.
say it's going to be a bit of a. We're looking to in this project incorporate
Yep.
everything we got. So after we have a couple of things that are just coming in the next month or so that we want to
Fucking
get out there.
hyped. Fucking hyped.
But this next one after this is we're just going to purely focus on making it perfect,
Yeah.
and I think it will. We'll realize a lot of things. I can already feel it. We're going to realize and grow just from this one project alone. We're going to,
Good
learn
looks.
to communicate more. It's just by the end of it, we just kind of we aim to just look back and just go, that was a journey.
We did that. Yeah.
We
Dude,
did.
the amount of depth for this is nuts.
Yeah, it's early days in the music angle.
Sure.
I know
I think that's
nothing about the actual thing, but
Sure.
we have I'll just say we have a whiteboard that is filled to the brim of what this is.
Concept
And,
ideas. Yeah.
And yeah, it's
Super exciting.
It's pretty great.
And obviously, this episode will be dropping like maybe about a month or a month and a half later, so you guys will be even closer to actually, putting it out there. But
100%.
super excited for that. I love it,
see what's
guys. Man, this is so exciting. I love just hearing you guys' story and everything you've shared today. I always ask the audience if they're comfortable with it to leave a message to themselves of 1 year in the future. Drake and Jesse, if you guys want to think about it for a minute, don't have to rush yourselves, but like, what would you tell the you of 1 year in the future? So, Drake, you want to go
Stay
first?
real. Stay real, man. Get better. Keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Excellent. Jesse, how about for yourself? What would you tell yourself of 1 year in the future?
1 year in the future, so I'll be almost 18.
Big boy.
Yeah. I hope you're looking pretty muscular. I hope you're a cool dude. You just make sure you stick to what's real, like what Drake said, and don't let anyone tell you what to do and when to do it. Just be you. You're gonna have bad days. From this point to exactly from 1 year away, I'm probably gonna have really shit times. There's probably gonna be some, situations in my head that are gonna, kind of fuck me up in that moment. But that's all that's happened and before, and I've been able to grow from it and keep that happening now.
Love that, man. Jesse, we're going to keep you accountable on that as well, dude. So we got you. All right, guys, this has been so awesome. There's always one final round, which is the speed round. So I'll ask a very quick question. You guys give a quick response.
Yeah, I was doing this before. I did it, and I was like, I got the second one. Fuck.
All right, if you guys are cool, I'll give a quick countdown. We'll jump into it. All right, here we go. 3.
One at a time, or both of us at once?
Let's do one at a time. So, okay, hang on. Let's do Drake and then Jesse. Drake and Jesse back and forth. So I'll ask the question, Drake, you answer, Jesse, you answer. I'll ask the question, Jake, you answer, Jesse answer. Is that cool? Okay, here we go. All right. 3, 2, 1. Favorite color?
Blue.
Red.
Favorite food?
Sandwiches.
Hawaiian pizza.
Ooh, favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Favorite movie?
Interstellar.
Inception.
Favorite song at the moment?
Overthinker by Enzo.
Call Me By Your Name by Lil Nas X.
What's your guilty pleasure?
What does that mean again?
Like
something you spend your time with that's like not productive. It could be memes, it could be YouTube. Just like, what do you like do with your free time, or how do you like to just waste time, I guess?
Sitting down on my phone, I guess.
Nice.
Speed round, come on.
You're out, Jesse. Too slow.
Tobacco. I'll say tobacco.
All right, very good. What countries do you want to visit?
Italy, Greece, Spain, Canada, UK, Amsterdam. Amsterdam is not a country. Netherlands, Iceland, Finland, and New Zealand.
Gosh, damn, son. Damn.
Country.
Yeah. Jesse.
I want to see the Amalfi Coast, so Italy and also Greece, because I'm like part Greek and I want to go to my homeland and see my people.
Excellent. What languages do you speak?
English and mild Japanese and mild Greek.
I speak English and very, very basic Greek.
Name one person, alive or dead, that you want to have a conversation with.
Ooh.
Alan Watts.
Zack Snyder.
Oh, and the last question, how do you want people to think of you?
A good person.
Complex but unpredictable.
All right, guys, awesome. And that is a set. We are completely done with all the questions. Thank you guys for answering those. That was awesome. Oh my gosh, guys, thanks for coming on the episode today, for being so open, for sharing your thoughts, opinions, perspective, your process. A lot of value here. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy the conversation. Is there anything you guys want to say in closing? Drake, is there anything you want to say in closing to the audience listening?
Just thanks for listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very
Means
good.
a lot.
If you haven't listened, do it. Listen, please, maybe.
Please. You don't have to.
It's 11 minutes of your life. All right, listen. It's like, it's 11 minutes. Like, you're gonna, we're live right now, right? Your guilty pleasure can be playing by Hay Jess.
There we go.
You can tell me what your favorite song is.
If you
My
want.
favorite song is Choke, and it's just the greatest song we've ever made. What is your favorite Drake?
Actually, Drake, what is your favorite track on the EP?
I mean, I like New God, but Drip's really my vibe.
This dude loves some drip.
Love it.
That kind of chill, like mellow vibe. I love that.
I just Choke is real quick before we wrap up. I think Choke is just like a great culmination of the concepts. Like I was saying, like the vintage kind of 60s or whatever it was sample of that vocal, and also the tape recorder at the end, obviously.
Yep.
And just like the synths and stuff, like it just like encapsulates what I love about our stuff. So yeah.
Fucking awesome. I'll give the Evan my buy-in as well, guys. I've listened to it a couple times already, both in preparation for the podcast. I listened to it right before we started recording as well. There's some excellent songs on there. These guys have some really cool work behind them as well. As individuals, you got to see today like how fucking awesome they are, and their music just reflects that as well. So I really encourage everyone who's watching this episode to go check out their social media pages, hit them up, DM them, message them, watch them, because these guys are on the grind and they're doing some really cool, very authentic stuff. Very meaningful stuff as well. Everyone, I want to thank you again for watching, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care. Have an incredible night. Oh my gosh, guys. Holy shit.